It is the year 2077 of the Reclamation Era. Humanity finds itself at the precipice of its own calamitous collapse. And still, we continue to fight. For nation, for creed, for country, for revenge, for love. Humans will find a reason to make conflicts. So we ask you at home to follow the journey of 5 ghosts, 5 soldiers who have risen to the challenge to end the world's war. But to do so, they've realized they must become human, or perhaps something more. Good morning, afternoon, and/or evening, depending upon time zone. Ladies, gentlemen, and those in between and beyond that binary of the internet, I welcome you back to Neon Lights Roleplay, and much more importantly, I welcome you all back to Stardust Ghosts, our Mechton Zeta Odyssey. I am your host, Young Fox, Inspiration to Stream, and I have with me 5 incredible storytellers of illustrious souls, 5 seraphs, 5 battle angels, ready to bring themselves to the foray of war, and perhaps, if they're lucky, save the world. But before they do that, I should probably tell you who they are, where they can be found on the internet, and who they're playing tonight. So, I will let you tell that exactly as I call you out one at a time. Please do that, those exactly things. We'll start off with a good old classic in someone who I, again, consider one of my very best friends, who has known me better than I know myself for the past decade, who I have been so honored to sit and create with. Michelle, how are you today, darling?
I live! For a given value, the word live. You know, both me and my character, Arthur Matsunori, who is alive. That's a word.
What really is? I know, every time, I know. It's at this point, you all know what I'm doing. Never mind.
Either way, don't find me on the internet, because I don't exist there. So, that's all you can do.
Well, regardless of your inability to exist on the internet, we are glad you exist here for our lovely story. Dealing with that same trend, we're going to next pass it over to somebody else. I can't see the overlay right now, so I'm just going to keep calling you all randomly and hope that I'm going to something that's close to an order. If I'm not, then fuck it, who cares? Having said that, we're just going to someone who I was just talking about how gloriously glad I am to have met them through this game, and how I feel like they bring a direct ability to like crack a GM's code and sort of like delve directly into what they want to do with a story and deliver that in character so potently. And Vermin, if you're hanging out in chat, you know who I'm talking about, because we were talking about this person together, obviously. I, of course, mean the incomparable and incredible Danny's Corner. How are you, baby boo?
The one time I actually knew you were talking about me. Hello.
Wow.
Hi, I'm Danny, Danny's Corner. Pronouns she, they. I'm playing, Caddy. Our person who's just, discovering what it means to be human in a very sort of all-encompassing way. And dealing with certain things that have happened in recent times, the processing it interestingly. They have opinions now, and that's a little difficult.
Yo, honestly, if I didn't have any opinions, my life would be so much easier. So I'm really sorry about that, frankly. Of all the things to develop, you develop psychic powers and opinions. That's unfortunate. Well, before we get to the conclusion of all that, because we'll get to that, don't you worry. We'll next move across the table to someone else who I have had the pleasure of meeting through this table, who I think that, not just here, but in the other bits of their roleplay I've gotten to see, not just the player, but seeing them also at the GM side of the table, they have a very precise roleplay, a very direct sort of scalpel's edge they bring to their character creation and to their story that I think allows every moment of theirs to be something you have to follow along with. Even as a GM, I find myself having to sort of focus in on every moment this person brings because their characters are so razor edge defined. And of course, if you have been a part of this lovely story of ours, you know that I'm speaking about the lovely and incomparable Casper, the MV Ghost. How are you?
I kind of thought you were talking about me. Thank you. That was very sweet. Hi, I'm Casper, the MV Ghost, and today I am playing. My pronouns are they, them, and I am playing Jocasta Kubaka, aka Doc, who is going through some things. All right. Going through some real things. And she, like, her pronouns are she, her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get on it.
Yeah, I certainly have been putting you all through some stuff recently, and I'm sorry about that. I'm hoping I can make up to it today sometime soon. Speaking of characters who I've put through things and or will put through things sometime soon. That's not foreshadowing, by the way, at all, I promise. I'm sorry. Someone else who I've met through this game, who I think has such a direct lens into... When I said, hey, I'm running a mecha anime game, I think this person got the assignment more than anyone else here. Not that you all didn't get the assignment, because you all clearly fucking do. But this person said, oh, cool, so I'm a shonen protagonist. I can do that, not a problem. And again, if you've played or watched any of this journey so far, you know, of course, that I'm talking about the incredible and incomparable Akemi, aka Ninja Penguin AM. Hello, darling, how are you? Oh.
Hi, that's me. I'm Akemi. As Fox said, Ninja Penguin AM everywhere I exist on the internet. I use she/they pronouns. Today I'm playing Mika Tresfield, aka Neon. She, her. Who likes blowing things up, and can't wait to get back to her girlfriend.
You know, that does seem to be a trend I found when it comes to Mika. You make a habit of exploding things. It seems to be, I feel like the past 2 or 3 episodes you've done that. If not like literally, then like emotionally. But you know, we'll deal with that in a little bit. Mostly when you get back to said girlfriend. But you know, before we do that, and as soon as these things are falling off my face, I have, of course, one last person to bring to this table. Someone who I didn't meet through this game, but who I have gotten to know more personally and gotten to see, I guess, the direct way that they are capable of making a character their own. This person's story has been one that I think from moment one has been not one of antagonism, but of self-determination, that I think sometimes has let them run against the group, but has always led them to creating great and meaningful stories that I cannot wait to see their arc fully round out. And of course, if you've watched the story, or if you've been following along and know that I only have one person left to introduce, then you should know this person is by now. I'm of course talking about the incredible and incomparable Chaotic Darby. Babe. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Hello, hi, my name is Darby, otherwise known as Chaotic Darby on the internet. I just send things in. Yeah. Jesus, definitely not doing anything different than her normal stuff. Yeah.
Not at all? You sure?
I don't know, no.
I mean, the low tone you're speaking at makes me think you're not trusting the things you're saying right now. So maybe you should speak up a little bit when you're gonna claim you're being innocent. I'm just saying.
Listen, some people are better at lying to themselves than others.
Don't
I'm
you
not one of
bring
those
that back on me again,
people.
motherfucker. Speaking of that, last episode happened. We'll talk about that.
Oh yeah,
in just a
you're
moment.
talking about Tamir then?
You know, a little bit, maybe. We'll see. Speaking of Tamir, hey, I'm Foxy. I play that guy occasionally, and everybody else that's not these 5 great people and their awesome characters. Which is very hard work to do because they constantly make me feel like I'm just not bringing enough because of the level of storytelling that they create. I'm just like, oh man, I gotta up my shit sometimes. But outside of my own insecurity, we'll deal with that some other time, as instead, we have stories to tell. And so, without further ado, let us delve right in. Ghosts, are you ready?
Yes.
Let's just song stops playing properly. Play the right song. Here we go. The cold and quiet of the void is not one thing you are uncomfortable with. In fact, it's a place you've been to multiple times. In contemplative moments, when memory peels away, when sorrow is forgotten, when oath and creed are stripped from you, when there is just the quiet, the cold void you have touched the back of your soul so many times. Thus, when you find yourself floating here again, Arthwiverous, it is not uncomfortable, nor is it unfamiliar. It's almost welcoming. You float in the endless sea of stars, in the endless quiet of a place beyond life and death, for longer than you can really grasp. For so long, you float, alone. And as you do, tell me, what do you consider? What moves through that brain of yours as the abyss surrounds you?
Quiet of the. I think Arth feels a certain kind of satisfaction. Kind of followed my code. My bad. People are saying. Yet she's still not.
And it's as you sit in that moment that refrain repeats in your brain. Not enough. Not yet. Not enough. Not yet. Not enough. Not yet. And it's then you recognize your voice isn't the one saying that. In fact, there are a few voices saying that all around you. Familiar sounds, familiar names, reaching out, grasping a hold of parts of your soul, pulling you this way and that. And it's as you recognize that, they manifest. Familiar faces, faces you have had to let go of at least once already, as you are surrounded with the looks and faces of former comrades. Been a while, eh? One of them says to you.
Well, years. Are you, Estelle?
Well, I'd say breathing, but that'd be lying. Then again, I suppose we've both been lying a little bit, haven't we?
Well, neither.
All this time. It wasn't really about the breathing. All this time, all these years, and you still haven't let go. Why? Another voice says, not Estelle's.
Tell you why.
Another voice says, yes, but do you?
Just for her. She's why I cling now. I haven't let go of you guys yet. That's how we stay alive.
Another voice behind Miguel's. Memory is a gift and a curse, Arth. It is a beautiful thing. No one is dead until they are forgotten. But all things must be let go of eventually. Time is not carrying your kind.
I might not care, but I do.
There it is, Estelle says. That's why you haven't let go. Not because of oath, not because of creed, not because of duty, not because of honor. You haven't let go because you haven't stopped caring.
I'd hardly be any kind of knight if I care.
Another one speaks up. So you intend to keep her safe? Another one. All of them safe.
Of course. I made a promise. I want to keep them. I don't want them.
And as you look around, as you say this, you see each of them, one at a time, kneel. Come to one knee in front of you, their heads bowed in respect, reverence, in service, perhaps. All except Estelle, who looks at you, and before taking her knee says, then you will need swords to do that. And as she kneels, each of them, their spirits, their essences, becomes a spectral blade. The haft held upside down, the blade pointed down towards the abyss, each of them waiting, beckoning, to you. Do you take one of them?
Knight should not be greedy, but you're all coming with me.
And as you proclaim that, you grab to one of these swords, Estelle's, in front of you. Each of them begins to glow and hum and sing vibrantly all around you. And one by one, slowly, the void comes alive with song and becomes white.
Greedy to live. Greedy for all of you to live. Greed might be.
And as you finally settle away from that, the scene closes. We find ourselves back on the road. The travel has been awkwardly quiet. The rain hasn't let up. Endless gray cloud hanging out over the Rend, downpouring constant, slow, gentle rain over you all. You've been traveling for at least a fair bit of time, a few days since you left that small rinky-dink town not too far outside of the Rend. No one has asked you much question about it. In fact, anyone who seems like they would has been stopped by somebody else, usually. And what you've been up to for the past few days is up to you. But currently, you are parked, camping. Tents have been erected. Space has been given for people to get sleep. Probably the last solid half sleep you'll need to get, as even from here, even just outside past the horizon line, you can see the faint glow of light and smokestack rising to indicate that some pocket of civilization is just north of you, about a half a day's travel north of you. Maybe not even less than that. And I don't think any of you need to look at a device or anything to know, given that you've all been here before. That's Redsham. So this is probably the last night you'll be spending on the road. And so if you wish to inform me what you've been up to, what you're doing currently, what's on your mind, or what else is currently happening, ghosts, well, as I am so very fond of saying, the scene is yours.
So I would say for the past few days of travel, Ketty has been silent pretty much. Silent and in her own mind. And she's polite in a way that if somebody does talk to her, ask her something, she does respond, but her responses are much shorter and direct, as if it's not giving her full attention. And that's sort of just been the past couple of days. She's just been in her mind trying to understand why she feels the way she feels, because she doesn't know the way she feels. There's not a word for it. A word doesn't come to mind when the thought of having her own thoughts, having disagreements, having discomforts that she's allowed to have, that she does indeed feel and feel them fully. She doesn't recognize the words for that or the definitions for that. She just feels that as something that's wrong, but also correct in the sense that she should be feeling them, but she just doesn't know how to deal with it. And those feelings and those thoughts follow her into this moment right now, where she is sitting probably actually I think she would be helping with setting up camp, trying to help anybody who's around, because her idle mode is doing something, is doing work. So she makes herself busy and makes herself useful, but it's very robotic, as her mind isn't very into it. So she's just around, helping where she can, but she has this very distant look in her eyes. She has been notably not talking with anyone except baby Mika, who she will occasionally, like, during the trip, she would see a cloud and think it was interesting, and so she would point it out because she wanted it to be a transition into a fun travel game, but then she couldn't get into it because she was too busy being emotional. So she would just sort of stop talking and end the conversation she started. But that's sort of been the extent of her communication with anyone lately.
Well, ouch.
What? I said cloud game. It was cute.
I mean, no, it's fine. I get it. It's fine. It just also hurts. So,
Yeah.
as Kenny spends time cloud gaming occasionally with Mika, what are the rest of you up to? Or have been up to? Or, anything else?
Idle hands are the devil's work, but so Doc's been trying to work on something, literally anything. She can't get any more information out of the pad thing about which was her current focus. She knows Dr. Asano's like evil plan for Tamir, so that seems like pretty much solid. The big thing on their plate right now is this epic battle, so I think she's been trying to come up with like an EMP bomb for Mika to deliver for somebody, just because like there's still electronics in mechs, so maybe this will knock them out for, I don't know, give us like 5 minutes or something. She's not very hopeful about this.
So follow up on that. So I feel like your general thought process is certainly on track. I mean, obviously mechs are still electronic components. There's still plenty. Shutting them down with EMP is easily doable. I think the biggest roadblock you're hitting as you're like trying to conceptualize this out, and like I imagine scrolling it out on napkins and scrap paper and whatever you can get your hands on.
Oh, there's a whole. You can see like there's a whole side of the tent that's like, oh, that's Doc, obviously.
That's Doc's tent. That's the one. Someone speaks up a tent later. It's like, what the fuck is all this? Anyway, so the biggest thing I think you're running into, Doc, is you aren't super. So you've been doing a lot of like cross-referencing with that information you got from your data pad and like information you can get on like the Guy System Mark III and how the Type 22s work and things like that. And you're recognizing like, okay, shutting these things down with an EMP, doable, no question. Making a big enough EMP to shut down like a wide sweeping swath of them, resource heavy, but doable, definitely doable. Your thing is, for the shutting down the Heptarchy's mechs, not a problem. They're all literally just AI-controlled machine, that's fine. The Mark IIIs have human souls in them. You've done plenty of research, but this is getting into damn near the supernatural at this point. Like, you're not certain, and it's not like you know for certain, you're not certain if shutting off these things kills the person inside, puts them to sleep, sends them somewhere else. It's like, it's one of those things where like, if you had infinite time, infinite resources, you could delve into and really find out the complex metaphysical nonsense that's happening with this. As it is right now, you just don't know.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's also, if I did make this big ass EMP bomb that does affect the Mach 3s, how would that affect Ketty and Arth?
Also a good point.
Yeah, I'm looking for like every design I have shuts them off, like completely shuts their systems down, and I'm like, but I don't know what happens, and what if they don't wake up? And so that's the thing that I'm coming up against. But while I'm freaking out about this, I'm not talking to Arth, because Arth, I get the vibes that Arth is pretty upset with me. considering the last talk I had with Witch and Facade. And yeah, so like I'm communicating with Mika on like trying to get them to talk to their girlfriend more and like trying to pump information out of that, see if like I can get any more information on the girlfriend and their line of work. But Mika keeps telling me all about their cute dates and like how they met and stuff, and I'm like, that's so sweet.
That's great.
And
I don't give a shit. Anyway.
Absolutely unhelpful. I love you, but also thanks. And Roxanne, we're not close. Like we aren't. So it's just how it is, all right? So like I have for the briefest moments, like I could talk to Roxanne, and then I'm like, whew, that's a low point. So it's very weird for Doc right now, because what she wants most in the world is to absolutely just wipe Witch off the face of the earth, and that currently can't happen with how everything has been set up. So she's just trying to figure out how to stop this robot army without killing any of her teammates. And that's where she's at.
Quite the clinky dink for you to be in, I would say. Quite the conundrum, definitely. Definitely not exactly the easiest place to be. But I do want to give you some good news. Silver lining here. Your prior sort of like subtask, your bit of a side project, was seeing if you could perhaps boost the receiver range and battery length of Mika's transit pad to talk to Lily. And thankfully, by virtue of having spent at least like a bit of time outside of that small town you were in and like kind of circling back to get some more resources and things, you were definitely able to do that. So you've been able to get the pad. It's been functional for probably the past like day or two. And so now, Mika, you can probably use the pad for that same like 3-minute call-ish, like the same few minute call, probably like once a day, honestly. Having said that, what you been up to, kid?
So other than the, 3 or 4 minutes every day that she's been getting to talk to her girlfriend, Mika is, well, sensing that things are kind of awkward between everyone, but, like, not sure exactly what's going on. So, she's, I think, been like, oh, we've stopped. Okay, time to go for a run. Because might as well keep myself, moving while we're not moving.
Mm-hmm.
One, she's got so much, nervous energy. I get to see my girlfriend again! Can't wait! And so she's just super excited about this. Also, I feel like everyone is, like, indirectly passing notes through Mika.
Imagine having the middleman for this fucking clusterfuck of a situation. God, I feel so bad for you.
So, like, occasionally Doc will be like, hey, if you see Arth, can you tell her this? And then Mika has to go off and like, okay. And then, like, does it, but, like, the delivery is slightly off and, like, something gets lost in translation. It's not, like, enough to cause more of a rift, but it's definitely, like, I don't think that was exactly what I meant, but... this is what I was told to tell you if I found you. So, right. I found you!
Well, Mika, outside of having to middleman a gay tragedy, which I feel very sorry for you for, you have... So again, you and Lily have caught up every day or so. She just, like, taps in and tells you, like, hey, I'm working on this thing. Again, she doesn't tell you specifically what she's been working on, but she does say it's almost done. She can't wait to show it to you. She also does mention, like, she might need a little bit of time past when you guys get to Redstone to really get it all finished up and good to go, but she's confident that she can have it done pretty soon. Other than that, she gives you no hints as to what she's working on. Other than, like, she seems beyond excited about it, and you know your girlfriend, and when she's hyped about something, it usually means something pretty big. And often explosive, but, we'll see.
It's sciencey, like, something I probably won't understand, but I'm so proud of her because she's, like, so smart and, like, so talented and, like, so good at, putting this together. I don't know what you're doing. But
Oh.
like, it makes me so happy that you're making this thing,
Mm.
and I can't wait to see what you're making because I know you're making it, and that makes you happy.
Can I
And-
propose that like Lily does go into full detail, but it's all technical stuff that goes.
Oh, yeah, it's all just,
straight
like-
over.
Oh, absolutely.
Mika's
No babble
head.
jumble. She's just like, yeah, sounds
So,
great,
like,
babe.
All of the questions that I want, like that I'm asking Mika, she actually has the information. She just does not know how to translate it from technical terms to like.
What's your
I
girlfriend
heard
working on?
something
Well, she's been working on the servo majigger, something with the.
The thruster
I'm not sure.
I think it was the RFI. I don't remember what. It's got a lot of acronyms in it. But it does things, and she seemed really proud of it.
You said like
I think
16
you'll
letters back
get
to back.
along
That
with
has
her
to be something
really
important.
when you meet her.
I love them so much. God, they're so precious to me. So, other
I
than
think it'd be
that,
better if you just ask when you meet her. That might be easier.
that makes sense. So, Mika, the last thing you would notice is when you sort of tried to make your call today, you notice that with the changes Doc has made, it only drains battery when the call is sort of picked up. It doesn't drain as much just from sending out the call. And so, like, if the call isn't ever answered, you can just call her later in the day, and it'll pick up perfectly fine. You tried to call her a little earlier today, and she didn't pick up. You assume she might have been busy. It's happened once or twice, obviously, but you haven't heard from her today specifically, all day today.
Which explains even more, like, the nervous energy of, like, hey, when is she gonna call?
And don't worry, we'll handle your gay panic in just a moment. But before we handle that,
But, like, in the
Roxanne.
meantime, like, Mika's been like, well, I'm just gonna go for a run now that we've set up camp. Let's do a mile, do some push-ups.
when you haven't let your text
And,
back to
like-
face, start doing random shit around the house to keep yourself busy, you're like, what if I do my dishes right now? What if I just cleaned up the whole kitchen right now? I'm sure she'll text me in the time when we clean the kitchen, right?
Yeah, kind of that thing. But also
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'm just gonna go for a run. Oh, that was 3 miles? Oh, okay.
Oh, my poor darling. I feel so bad for her. Don't worry, it'll resolve in just a moment. We'll come back to that, I promise. But before we do that, hey Roxanne, what you up to?
Oh, just perfect timing for my air conditioning to come on. There's people kind of in charge here, right? That are not Tamir.
Shadi has mostly been the one who's kind of like organizing this whole, I guess, cell or group for the most part. He has sort of like 1 or 2 lieutenants under him who have been like giving out his orders to other people and like keeping everything organized. But yeah, those 3 seem to be like the leadership triangle here for the most part.
Yeah, I think Roxanne spends a lot of time not in a like nuisance way or creepy or trying to be creepy way, but is trying to integrate herself into that leadership triangle, I guess.
See that? No, absolutely. And I think, yeah, I don't think Shadi would have a problem like letting you handle some of the minor stuff. Like, hey, do you mind like running this information over there? Or would you mind letting this group over here know to get packed up? Or would you mind tell the patrol group to swap? Like just simple stuff like that. So I think, yeah, I've definitely been able to find yourself like integrated in certain small ways into like the leadership structure of this overall group here or there.
Yeah. And I think Roxanne is talking to people as she normally would and does not care if it makes people uncomfortable.
Naturally.
Just is like pushing. Not pushing, but just like as if nothing is wrong and everything is normal. I don't know if she's talked to Tamir though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of everything being right and normal, you talked to your boyfriend recently?
Is he my boyfriend?
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think she would have gone out of her way to avoid him, but I don't think she would have been first to jump on him talking to him. I think
Oh, well, good. He's avoiding you.
He's avoiding me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now that changes things. I think she is popping up near where he needs to be. Not interacting with him, but just being present, just to see how he's reacting to stuff.
He definitely cuts you a few glances here or there, you know, a look over, and it's hard to read his face, maybe a bit harder than it normally is. It's somewhere in between a regret, not like a regret, but like a sorrow and a, like, maybe an anger? You really can't read it that well. He's not the kind of person who shows anger on his face very easily, you think? But other than cutting you a glance here or there, it's weird. He doesn't really seem to be talking to any of you like that, really. Like, he's not outright avoiding all of you, but he really doesn't seem to be leaving the van at all. Maybe he's just resting and healing up a whole lot. But outside of the occasional pop-up to, like, check in with Shoddy or, you know, make sure things are okay or grab a meal, doesn't seem like he interacts with anyone that much lately.
Now that's a different story. I didn't think he wouldn't not be talking to other people at the Lance.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell if it's, like, specifically the Lance or if he just isn't talking to anyone at all. Could just be that.
I mean, like, Roxanne's a stalker. Like,
oh, in which case, then you know, yeah, it's definitely he's not talking to anyone. He's just kind of really to himself these days. It seems hard to tell why, you know, given the not talking to you thing, obviously. I mean, if you really want to know what's on his brain, there's ways to do that. But
would it be okay to? Well,
You
he's
want me to
out.
hack his brain?
No, don't hack his brain.
rude.
Maybe just wait for him back in his quarters. Just chill.
Well, in that case,
Totally clothed like a normal person.
that's fine. But it's also important to specify. I appreciate you specifying. So, let's say that it's this evening. In fact, you find yourself able to sort of sneak into the van while he's not there. He's either off on a bathroom run or just doing something else. Hard to tell. In either case, you do eventually find yourself with the free time to kind of like look around the cabin and find like, yeah, one, his screens are clearly on and busy, so he's clearly been working on something. Hard to tell given all the logistical nonsense, unless you want to actually take time to like peer through it. What might be slightly more important, I would say, though, is that his diary is open.
That's a creepy stalker person who is definitely a creepy stalker. She knows how long he's gonna be gone, right? She's like probably.
You probably got a good sense of it.
Go. I just like to take a quick little peek poo at the last couple entries.
Sketches, all of them. Drawings.
Oh.
You.
Fuck. There's no. He didn't hear. He did not hear what Facade and Witch talked about, did he?
You know, that's a real good question to ask, actually. And you might get an answer, given that after you peer through those pages for a little bit, the door clicks.
Back into my normal spot, away, just like picking. I'm reading a book. I'm reading a book. Any book that he has around.
Well,
that's not his diary.
Before you get there, I'll describe one last thing happening. So the door opens and he walks in. We'll come back to that moment in just a bit. Don't you get me wrong. Trust me. Before that, the rest of you who are out and handling things. Arth, I'm thinking you're kind of just out hanging out, you know, enjoying the night air right now.
I mean, so Arth has been spending like most of her time respecting everyone's space. Like she's
That's
like, all right, so I want to talk to people, but like they don't want to talk to me, so I guess I'll just like. You know where like Arth goes around and gives people like food and tea all the time? I think like Arth is like, okay, they're gonna talk to you, Mika, so can you just pass this tray over, please?
Classical immigrant parent move of like, they're not talking to me, so here's some cut fruit. Like,
I mean, that's literally what Arth is doing.
What's happening?
That's hilarious.
That's so. Oh my god. Okay, but like, but like besides that, like Arth is I think what Arth is doing in the spare time is like sort of what they normally do, which is like helping out with like the little guys, like your little engineers and folk, getting an idea of like what's it like on the ground for people? Question mark. I don't know them, but they seem to work the same way as the military camp. So we'll just make sure things run smoothly. You get a better idea of what else going on.
Of course. And so, as you're kind of like trying to integrate yourself and help out a little bit here, you find yourself currently on the perimeter, helping ferry in a few crates from like one of the larger sort of trucks over towards like a sort of tent area where you can like grab food and things. And it's as you're doing that, you hear one of the scouts kind of out on the perimeter just, "Yo, heads up, incoming." They don't say that with like concern, making you think by default whatever's approaching is either friendly or an unknown. But as you look up across the horizon, there's a truck approaching. It's a civilian truck. It's also blaring rock music.
So, since no one's talking to Arth except Mika, I think Arth is gonna immediately go right over to Mika and be and just like.
Oh, you don't have to bother to do that actually. As you turn to be like, I should probably go tell. The car zooms past you, and while you're not really able to hear a lot over the blaring music, you think you faintly hear, "I don't want to look at my girlfriend, move!"
Oh, I think Arth is just gonna be like, "Are we sure Mika has it?" Like Arth is like in like disapproving mom face.
And as you watch this car speed by, and you sort of think, I should probably go make sure what's up with that, the scene will slowly fade itself away. And we find ourselves somewhere else. Once I make everything stop. The cold of the void isn't exactly a thing you have had long experience with. It isn't new. It's not new to any of you, really. But it is something you have only recently had to come accustomed to. It is a creeping, crawling darkness. It is a slow, spine-chilling cold. It is nothing compared to the hole you feel in your heart right now. That gnawing, clawing sensation of having everything ripped away from you and having to keep moving anyway. The cold of the void is new, but the pain of loss is so old for you. Is it not, Jocasta? You muted, by the way, love.
I lost my mouse.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's not new to me at all.
Mm-mm. And so as you find yourself... Sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just... No, go ahead.
And as you find yourself slowly floating in this endless space, field of stars surrounding you, a place beyond both life and death, somewhere you have been at least once, perhaps twice before, but never lingered this closely to the edge, never been this far against the brink. What moves through your mind right now?
I'm looking around and I am hurt that my family's not there. I don't know what's beyond the veil or whatever, but I was expecting Mum, Dad, my brothers, someone to be here. And there's nothing. There's no one.
Have you tried calling for us, darling? A voice says from the distance.
I do not turn to the voice because if I do, yeah, it's gonna be a sobbing mess. So, To answer the question, Joe is going to grab for like the locket, but she doesn't have it. She gave it to Arth. I've been calling for you for years.
Another voice says, but you believed we were gone. Unless you couldn't hear us.
Are you telling me you're not?
Something hits you in the head. Like something hits you in the middle of the forehead as if it was thrown at you.
Yeah, that's my shitty little brother.
Mm-hmm. Floating just in front of you in the void, having been thrown at you, is a bracelet. And at the end of it, a charm. A similar charm to the one you gave Arth. Who said we were ever gone, stupid?
Yeah, my voice like de-ages like 10 years. And it's like it just comes out as, Jonah, I told you to stop messing with my stuff. Stay out of my room, you little bastard.
Heat me out then.
Mom, can you keep the twins out of my room, please?
She says, I can do my very best. And she looks over, almost at this point now walking around to face the front of your vision, with the two of them on either side of her. And from the other side comes your father. Keeping them out of your head, however, might be more difficult.
And then I come back to my own age and facing my family, who haven't aged a day. Looking down at my little brothers, and like seeing my mom and dad's face again for the first time in a very long time, because even the files that I have, like looking at I already know what my parents look like. I don't need to see those pictures. Seeing them at the statues didn't do them justice. Seeing their faces, I burst into tears without realizing it.
You'll feel an impact on either side as your two brothers immediately let go of your mother and dash up to hug you on the other side.
Yeah, I hug them back in a way that like they would most definitely they're complaining that like, Joe, you gotta let us breathe. And I don't say anything as I just hug them. Other than, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I was supposed to take care of you. I'm so sorry.
Your mother speaks again. What exactly are you sorry for, love?
That you're gone. You told me to take care of the boys. You told me to. It was my job. I'm their big sister. I have to take care of them.
And you did everything you could.
And do you know what they're doing with your work? Do you know what they've done to you, to everything you've worked for?
Your father speaks now. The same thing fascism does to everything in time, darling.
Are you not angry?
Furious.
Am I not supposed to do something about that? Am I not supposed to avenge you?
They smile. Neither of us said that. But we would ask you, what will vengeance give you?
Oh no, the proper answer is nothing, but I would feel damn well that the person who took you from me, the people that took you from me, no longer breathe the same air as I do.
And you have a right to feel that, your father speaks. A follow-up question. And you know your father does this a lot when he's sort of like pushing you on things. He's question, follow-up question, follow-up question. He's trying to get you somewhere, obviously. So he says, follow-up question. What else do you still have besides vengeance?
I mean, I've got Arth, and I've got Keddy, and I got Mika, and even Roxanne. I think, yeah, even Roxanne. I mean, Tamir's also cool, but he's new. We don't know him like that, so.
Your mother speaks, and she's a very nice young lady, this Arth.
It's not like that, Mum.
She looks over at your father, who looks over at her. Neither of them say anything.
Yeah, the twins are also looking at me like.
And your father says, well now, it's weird. Is vengeance so important to you when you have so many other things?
I don't know how to move forward. Especially in this god-awful war. If I'm not doing something to avenge you. And I might have found a way of doing that. But to do so might hurt Arth. And I don't want to do that.
It's surprisingly enough, Jonah and Jarvis who speak up. Jonah looks up. What? Jarvis, a problem you can't fix? As if.
Two can be so annoying in your support.
Your father then speaks up and once again and says, well, they have a point. As do you. Your mother surprisingly smiles. Darling, if vengeance has to be your motivator, then let it be. Let it push you. But don't fight for it. Fight for the ones you still have, even if vengeance is your fuel.
I am just going to run to my parents, to my family, give them the biggest hug with, like, I'm trying to hug all four of them at the same time. I only have 2 arms. So it's not working out as very great for the twins because it's just 2 sandwiches at that point. And I am gonna just tell them I love them.
The Kabaka clan embraces you tight. And as one, they say, and we will always love you and be with you every step of the way. And your father says, but you have a war to win, don't you?
Yes, Father. I do.
Your mother says, you will require a mighty steed to ride to war with. Your brothers, twins speak up. No, not a steed, a dragon.
Yeah, of course. Because the last story I told the twins ended on a cliffhanger. And then there was a dragon.
And it's as you embrace them, they hold you tight, all of them, glowing bright white. Your 2 brothers becoming these formless shapes, these formless things that rise up and enclose around you like a wide, proud maw, eyes glistening bright towards the future. And it's as that scene fully encompasses itself in bright light, everything fades away. And we return to the scene of a truck wildly rapidly approaching the refugee camp, blaring, at least for one of you, a really familiar hard rock song you're sure you've heard at least somewhere before. And before we deal with that, we are going to come right back. So we'll see you all in just a few minutes. Don't touch that dial or that browser. See you in a bit. The quiet of the void is perhaps home to you. You have been here so many times. Perhaps not as many individual occasions as other members of your squad, but you'll have spent more time here than most humans ever will. This void, this place beyond life and death, is somewhere your mind is retreated to for comfort, to avoid the horror of what exists around you, to persist, to survive. You are connected to it deeper than anyone else in Seraph Lance is. Eddie, this darkness, this void, it's a comfort you know, perhaps like a mother. And as you float in it, as you sit here in the silence, what goes through your mind?
As Caddy floats in what is essentially their second home, the one thing I think that's been going through their mind that they have the least amount of answers for is, what do they want to do? I've never had to want, and I've never had the wherewithal to make my own choice, to have my own desires. But there's this open freedom now, and that's interesting. In a sense where it's welcome, but I don't know what I want. I don't know what my goals are. I don't know what my wishes are. But I think I have them. Or I want to have them. I want to want.
You find your thoughts interrupted by a single mote of light in front of you. It's not a full person, a full human figure. A single mote of brightness against the void, like a star, just in front of you, close enough for your hands to grasp.
Reach out.
You reach for it and feel another one just next to it. And then another, and another, and another, and a dozen more, and 100 more, and 1,000 more, until you are surrounded, swimming in a sea of these points of light. None of them speak, none of them say anything to you. But you can hear them, feel them in your soul. Each of these motes of light, each of these points, is a soldier or a civilian or someone else who has lost their lives in 200 years of unceasing war. You find yourself surrounded in an infinite star-filled graveyard, a memorial on the cosmic scale to the billions who have lost themselves to conflict.
I look around and I sort of I take this moment to almost embrace it. Embrace this light, embrace the warmth of what is lost. And I just sort of look around and give the tiniest wave. I am very sorry. But you all don't get to want anymore the way you deserve to. So I will do that for you. I want to make it worth it for you all.
They begin to drift closer, slowly, the most distant ones of them first, and then the ones closer in, until slowly they begin to gather and swell, spiraling and swirling around you, clutching against your fingertips and your hands and your palms and your face, swimming and gathering as if embracing you, one after another and then another, every soul lost to conflict, a monument to human sacrifice, embracing you, embracing the simple act of not being forgotten.
Kenny embraces all of them and makes each one of them important in her mind and in her drive. And she smiles as she just is enveloped by the light of these people who still carry on through her.
Each one touches a point of your body until eventually every bit of you is suffused in light. You, a single, radiant, brilliant star amongst the ever-creeping, clawing darkness. A single point of light to hold back the apocalypse. And it's then you recognize, if these souls could want still, if these souls could need anything, it's just that, to be remembered for a single person, even if just one, to carry them like a torch toward the future. Can you do that, Kitty?
I will do that.
They gather, swirl, slowly enclose upon your arm until each and every one of them gathers a glistening brand new sun held in your arms. And it is not sorrow you feel in these souls. It is not pain or grief or loss. You are suffused entirely in the light of human hope, in the endless, brilliant glow of what we could be if we just believed a little bit more in the people around us.
And I hold them close. And then I hold it out as if a light to show me the way.
And you'll see the stars glisten and glow in response until everything around you is a brilliant, beautiful white. And it's as that scene settles, we return to the low evening of the caravan settling and resting against the rain. As a car pulls up into the middle of the scene, tires screeching hard against the dirt, still blaring blatantly loud rock music, and a figure kicks the door as hard as they can and jumps out. And Nika, why don't I have you go ahead and describe what this person looks like for me?
So, coming out of the truck in a very, uncharacteristic way is a somewhat tall, kind of angular woman with glasses, long black hair, probably tied up neatly, and, despite the fact that she was just driving a, giant, semi-truck in a rather reckless way, looks very put together.
Hmm.
And still is wearing a lab coat, which is still white, somehow.
In fact, the only points of color you notice on this lab coat, it's hard to tell at first because they don't look the same way Tamir's do. Some of them look like they were re-polished over from bottle caps or carved out of a bit of metal or wood, but decorating the left lapel of her lab coat are pins, medals, maybe, almost. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense until you notice. Well, notice the reaction she gets when she steps out of the car. Every single soldier who is busy, every individual of this resistance who is preoccupied and sees this car appear, stops, and as one salutes. You hear Shadi shout over the entire crowd, "Officer on deck!"
Alright, so someone turned the bloody music down. I'm trying to work here.
And she cuts out and just looks over at you all. Jocasta, I have been waiting to meet you. Hello.
Who the bloody hell is this then?
And she flashes a badge that clearly you would know denotes looks like it would be like an intelligence or like a science division badge, although the symbol of the PRV has been deliberately like knifed out, scratched out with a knife. But, well, the ID is obvious. It's Lily.
Yeah. Lovely! Oh my goodness! And yeah, like, I'm gonna try... Sorry, Mika. I'm gonna try and like get in there real quick. Just be like, oh my god, hi. It's so nice to meet you. I would love to talk to you. And then just dive into business because Jocasta is also very neurodivergent.
Oh, she absolutely gets to babble with you non-stoply, going off about sensor arrays and current projects and talking about how much of these things just show you. She goes on a long babble about psychosomatic connection and about things she has to show you on things she's broken through on her research. She then cuts herself off. But all that has to wait. Where's my girlfriend?
Oh, right. Yeah, Mika. Last time I saw her, she gave me breakfast. Well, she gave it was from Arth, but she's the one who delivered. You know what? She's that way. I know you don't want to talk to me. Yeah, that way? Right. I will be in that tent. And it's the clearly decorated in glyphs tent.
And she just looks over and says, don't go too far. And if you could, gather your squad. I have something you all need to see.
Right. Yeah. That shouldn't be a problem. Not at all.
And without noticing any of the awkward, she just takes off skidding.
I feel like
that for her.
I feel like this is about the time when Mika has come back from one of her many like circuits around camp. Like just as the truck pulls in, she's like, "Wait!" Starts sprinting toward it.
Mm-hmm. And she turns and isn't even able to get a full word out before you are on top of her. Just
full on, 2002 anime style glomp.
Mm-hmm. You collapse, roll a little in the dirt, and she is clearly trying to complain about getting the dirt on her lab coat, but is too busy giggling like a mad woman. So happy to see you again.
Oh, but Mika knows enough to make sure that she ends up taking most of the momentum of the tumble.
Mm-hmm. As y'all roll out, she lands, kind of haphazardly falling into your lap. Slowly works a bit of pink hair behind your ear. I missed you, Firecracker.
I missed you too.
She kisses the top of your head. And she tries to work through so many words before just tearing up and wrapping you. Just, I'm so glad you're safe.
So good to see you.
And at this point, you could... Go ahead.
I know you have a lot to say. Shut up. And Mika will just kiss her.
You kiss her, the two of you collapse over, and around you, the camp works itself into a cheer. Just yelling and screaming and happy to see a little bit of love in all this fucking mess, honestly.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm not gonna do... Sorry, I'm not doing the cheering thing. I'm like, cool, right. And I have to talk to Arth. Where are they? And then I'm gonna just go on off and wander and try and find her.
Anything else urgently happening right now in this moment besides two gays having a great reunion?
I would like to just point out with just imagery that Kenny, I imagine is in the background. It's one of the scenes where it's if you didn't look for her, you probably wouldn't see her in the crowd because she's literally following what everybody else is doing for a moment. Because at first in her mind, she's like, "Oh my gosh," Mika's gonna be so happy. Oh, Mika's so happy. But then but she sees everybody saluting at first. She's like, "Oh," so she's saluting, and then everybody starts clapping, and then she starts clapping. background, just doing that because she isn't sure what
It's
else.
just, I don't know what we're doing, but I guess I'm a part of this too. I hope we're all happy right now. I'm not sure why.
But she's very happy. She sounds like this is probably the biggest Kenny has smiled for the past couple of weeks. So, but yeah, that's what Kenny is right now. She's in the background. She's an Easter egg.
No. Well, I think we'll give ourselves that sort of moment of Doc, or I guess of Jocasta walking off to go find Arth, who is again still off helping soldiers and probably seeing what all the commotion is about. Ketty amongst the crowd, simply enjoying, and Mika and Lily falling into kissing each other and just simply enjoying being united again for the first time in so long. As the clouds pan up towards the stars and a scene transitions. The cold of the void is a new thing for you. Awkward, given how many people you've sent here. And yet, almost poetically, you find yourself floating in a quiet sort of comfort, a peace you probably don't think you deserve, do you, Roxanne?
Deserved or not, I think Roxanne would enjoy the moment.
And how do you feel for yourself taking this moment to be completely alone in the cold void beyond life and death? What are you thinking about right now?
I think she's thinking about nothing. For somebody who spends their whole life, or has spent their whole life scheming and thinking and remembering and manipulating, she's in nothing. And so she can think of nothing and be nothing.
You hear a voice. Nice, ain't it?
I think you would know better than me. I don't think she's even opening her eyes.
Nope. Another voice. We would. We've been here a while, after all. It gets lonely, but the quiet is welcome.
Well, that's why I sent you friends. Are you here
Another
to haunt
speaks.
me?
Is it a haunting if we don't choose to?
Does a child ask to be born? It's still
No.
a life, isn't it?
Another speaks. But what makes a life, Roxanne?
She'll open her eyes, I think, at this point.
The first thing you see is someone with half their head missing. It's a soldier who clearly took a round through their cockpit that burned plasma straight through most of their head. The person next to them doesn't have legs. The person next to them is missing an arm in the better part of their torso. You can place each and every one of those injuries. You were there when they all happened. Some of them you even caused. You are surrounded in a field of half-life, a group of bodies rent and broken in ways that are all too familiar to you.
Isn't that something you should have asked your parents?
Didn't have the time.
Well, you're not going to find answers from me.
No. Another one speaks up. But in the quiet we've been given, we think we found our own answer. Another speaks up. A life is made through choices. The ability to choose is what makes one alive. And the other speaks. And to rob one of their choice is the only way to truly kill someone.
I think she'll make a sarcastic bow then.
One of them actually snorts. You just don't get it, do you? All this anger, all this hatred for the world around you, all this desire to bring the system down, and you still don't get it.
Do I need to? A cog doesn't understand its place in a machine, it just turns.
And is that what you are? A cog in a machine? Another one says, with the most crooked smile on their face. Or are you a wolf?
A wolf is nothing but a person, not.
Another one sort of speaks. You asked us why we haven't stopped haunting you. And he kind of points, and you now realize something is in your hand. A plate of metal with names scratched into it. I could ask you why you haven't let us go either.
Ripples don't leave blasting marks on an ocean. Maybe I wanted to be more than a cop.
And what are you now?
Expendable, as always.
Another one says, we'll spell it out for you then, since you're so damn dense. You hold on to us like you're responsible, like murdering us and keeping our names close absolves you of something. Like it means you know what? I won't assume. Instead, I'll remind you that if to rob one of choice is to kill someone, then we were all dead long before you got to us.
So, what am I? Your liberator then?
Don't be pretentious. You're an opportunistic monster who will take whatever it takes to get yourself forward towards something, anything that makes you feel like you're a little bit more worth it, like you're a little bit more human.
Death did give you wisdom then?
It offers you a fair few things when you have the time to think about things. So before you get here, before you join the rest of us, eventually, I just have one question. Is it still worth it? Everything you have to do?
To kill somebody is to rob them of their choices. Perhaps I'm breathing life into somebody else's, then. I don't regret killing any one of you, and I would do it again and again if I were in the same position. But I suppose there's more to what happens next than just myself.
There it is. One of them sits, fully just sits in front of you. You can still see the wounds sort of blurring and cluttering and not blending right. For every one of us you've sent to the beyond, For every step you've taken forward, for every hand you've reached towards a light you've not ever been certain you'll find, there is still that endless desire to bring the whole thing down anyway. And not for you, not just for you, but for those who have lifted you up that high. After all, you can't bring a system down from the bottom. Something had to lift you up. Can you see it now? From all the way up there? The people you stand atop. Not just the bodies, but the ones whose hands still lift you higher.
Roxanne's usually very sure of herself. But I think she'll glance down almost furtively.
And you'll see, again, out in the expanse, the entirety of Hera, this supercontinent that all of you have called home, all that is left of old Earth. And you stand atop a mountain of the dead and the dying, but reaching out from the top of that pile, reaching up from the mound of all you have done. 5 pairs of hands reach out to the bottom of your feet and the soles of your hands and lift you above all of this. You can be more than this. You can be more than what you have done. They know it. Why don't you?
This war will take more from people than just lives. It'll take their humanity, their morals, their joy, and strip it all away. I think in her mind she pulls these arms up and pushes them above her.
You grab one pair of hands and lift it up. A voice says, if they will take their joy, you reach another pair of hands up. Another voice says, then be a torch that reignites it. You grab another pair of hands. If it will take their morals, you grab another pair of hands. And show them something, and show them a better way. And if it will take their humanity, you grab the last pair of hands and pull. And the voice says, then be something better than human.
Somebody needs to do this work.
It's bloody work.
It's kind work, but not for me. Let me be the monster they always knew that I could have been, the monster that you all knew me as. Let me be that, so that they don't too.
I will not define you as anything other than what you choose to be. But you have been a monster that has gnashed teeth all your life. Perhaps, as all these figures stand and rise against you, glowing in light, forming a circle halo around you. Perhaps, rather than teeth, you will need talons.
Perhaps.
And they encircle around your wrists, slowly glowing until the whole scene around you becomes suffused in light.
I think she'll just lay back down in the quiet.
And you are allowed, perhaps as a small mercy, a few more moments to sit in that simple quiet of the void before everything goes white and the scene resolves itself. Which is funny, given that we're coming right back to you. Roxanne, you find yourself sitting in the, well, relative quiet at least, of Tamir's cabin, looking through things, when, as previously mentioned, the door clicks, and the aforementioned former commander walks in. The moment he sees you, he glowers, his face dropping any focus it had.
Oh,
This is
give
surprising.
us a smile, sweetheart. Frown doesn't look good on you, Commander.
He rolls his eyes, but can't help the slight crease in the corners of his mouth that happens. Shut up.
You know, talking to people, I've been told, is something that's good for you.
Indeed. And keeping secrets from them usually isn't.
But you know all my secrets now.
I do.
So what's stopping you from talking to the rest of the squad?
Your secrets aren't mine to share. And while all of you have made choices I may have my own feelings about, my feelings are not meant to be the thing that guides you all anymore. Perhaps they never were.
Why haven't you talked to them about anything else then? As much as I'm fabulous and wonderful and the center of all things in the world, I'm not the only thing that you're capable of speaking about.
No. But you all still believe you kept me out of that conversation with, well, with Witch. And I was holding up that facade for a bit longer.
I I think genuine shock, fear a little across her face before the facade goes back up. See, you are important. Even if we turn off our comms, that you get to listen in.
I have my theory on why that happened, but that will need time and perhaps a conversation with Mika's girlfriend. But before we get there, well, I heard everything.
And? Am I supposed to be bothered by that fact? Am I supposed to...
Quite frankly, if watching a comrade die doesn't bother you, I don't think anything I could do would shake you. Nor was it my intent. I just have a question, really.
Then ask.
What would you have done if Witch had said no? If Witch wouldn't let you all leave that easily? Would you have murdered her child?
Yes.
Expected. He doesn't say anything. He just looks At you. Follow-on question. When confronting Asano, if things went poorly, if ultimately you didn't have a way out without killing another comrade, what do you have? Is Doc, or Streamline, or Keaton, or Neon, or me worth sacrificing towards that goal of yours?
Of course. You've seen what I've done. I say and I do what I need to do to survive.
Every word you're saying, he is stepping closer to you.
Mm-hmm.
He holds up his hand and has a communicator in it. He clicks it. In 45 seconds, this line connects directly to my father. You give him your position, all of our commerce position, and my whereabouts, and you walk away a hero. Or you turn it off, and he flicks it into your hand.
She catches it.
42 seconds remaining.
She's just staring at him.
He steps closer.
You're going to risk everyone in this caravan to prove a point?
You are. He steps closer. Go on. Do it.
You're going to ruin Kemi and Lily's reunion for what?
He steps
To
forward.
prove I'm a monster?
You are, right? Anything to go forward, right? "35 seconds remaining."
And what? You would just lay down your life? The lives of all these people? You would ruin the chances of rebellion, of freedom for all the people who have been under your father's thumb, under the thumb of tyranny and destruction for what?
He says for it. Because maybe, again, just maybe, I love you enough to know you're better than this.
I am not better than this. You do not know.
He is now fully in your face. Then prove me wrong. 15 seconds.
Turn it off.
He says,
She's pushing it into his chest.
he clutches it, clutches your hand, says, you do it. Top right button. 10 seconds remaining. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
She clicks it off.
He kisses you. Like full on, perhaps more aggressive than I think you've ever seen him. Like pushes you back against the console you're leaning against, kisses you.
Sorry. Wow! Okay. I think she's just like frozen in place.
He looks at you. There's a several second pause. And then a smile. I have never believed you were anything less than human. Have you done horrible, horrendous, monstrous things? Yes. But if I can believe there is humanity in my father, I can find it in you. Can you?
You are. You. And she just crunches this communicator in her hand.
Fair and valid.
You could have gotten everyone here killed.
He kisses you again, softer this time, not as
Mhm.
hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's as he's kissing you, you feel him slip something into your hand. Something metal. It's his handgun. It's loaded and cocked.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
Well, he
I
didn't
wouldn't
take
have
his own
risked my
key.
squad.
Interesting. I think she'll smile. Actually smile. You're becoming quite conniving, Commander.
I learned from the best.
This communicator that she now crunched into itty bitty bits in her hand,
Mm-hmm.
does it actually have the function of reaching to the capital?
You know? Hard to say. But
One of
given the smile
I
he's
like
putting on, yeah, he was bluffing.
it. It was one of the pieces that Doc was working on and kind of just abandoned. It was a real communicator. It's a prototype. Get emotionally played.
God damn it! It only crossed my mind right at the very end! Fucking... She flicks a piece at his face. How did you listen in to that conversation? I thought I turned my comms off.
The answer you get is, you did. His mouth doesn't move.
So you get a one-way ticket to the inside of my brain?
He closes his eyes, and you get a memory of the night you two spent together. It's not just one way.
Hmm. This is not going to get any easier. You know that, right?
I'm not a fool, Roxanne.
My skill set is very particular. That means that this organization is probably going to utilize that. It would be easier not be involved with something like this.
What alternative? To walk away? To simply say, well, either they figure it out, or my father continues his reign of oppression for another 100 years, possibly in my body.
It's better to not be involved with what I have to do next to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Ow. And he starts like genuinely put like anger in his face. How have you not figured out after all of this fucking time? And he grips your hand that I do not want you to walk this path alone. None of us do.
What makes you think that I will let you?
He smirks. What makes you think you have a choice? And he flicks that gun. Unless you're shooting me down right here, love, I'm with you every step of the way. And I'm quite sure, if you ask the rest of the Lance, they'd answer similarly. There's only 4 bullets in there anyway. So either way, you're stuck with one of us.
She's she's at a loss at what to say. She has been checkmated.
Blam, blam. And he just says, now then, you can sit here flustered for 5 more minutes. Or, and he kisses the top of your forehead, you can go. Squawk has been going on for the past 5 minutes. I think Doc wants you.
This doesn't explain why you weren't speaking to anybody else.
And he says, well, when one's trying to figure out their own psychic connection, that's not quite easy to do. A lot of meditating. A lot of thinking.
Darby, I'm like, what? I'm
so
just seething. She's seething a little bit
I'm really proud of
inside.
myself, by the way, in case you were curious. It's really,
Yeah.
really
No, yeah.
putting the crown on my own head right now, just, in case anybody knew me too.
I got fucking
Regardless.
outplayed.
I
Yep.
think he'll let you off at this point, slide off and just go on if you like. However, and he kind of, again, it's a smile, but much more than that, it's a smirk that comes off almost sultry, which really isn't a thing you've seen on his face a lot. When we hit Redsham, however, could use a shower and maybe some company.
I think she'll laugh. You know, if you get too good at this whole thing, I don't know what you're going to do next.
Well, I can't get too good or you stop playing.
We'll see. She walks out.
And we'll let that sort of slide over as Truth and Tove, the entire squad, I assume, assembles now, having been informed that you need to do so. Feel free to take a minute to recuperate if you need to.
My brain was still rebooting after all that just happened, so
I'm glad.
Yeah.
You know what? That's fine. No problem.
right. I guess I would find Roxanne after that. And Ketty would just see me looking for people.
It just starts following
in the
you after
crowd.
a bit.
Yeah. And then I guess when it comes to finding Arth, like helping people out, it gets awkward. I would spot Arth first, because they're busy helping somebody, and I'm like, I should go over there. You're here, Ketty, but I'm not talking to you.
I know.
I should go over there. Right, yeah, I could go over there. It's no big deal. Need to assemble. Just gotta go over there and talk to her. Just go over there.
Costa?
One. Right, yes. Hi, Kezzy. Yes.
Are you? Is everything all right?
I mean, we've Lily is here. Wonders for Mika. Great for my research. She wants the whole squad to assemble, and I need to inform Arth. And that's where I'm at right now.
So I have to talk to my girlfriend, and
Arth is right there. We were
Right.
looking at her just now.
Yes, that's absolutely true. I do see her.
Let me help you with that.
I can't seem to move, Keddy. I can't seem to go over there.
Oh. And Kenny takes your hand and starts
God.
trying to lead you on.
Even better.
Which, by the way, if you haven't noticed, Arth still definitely has her sword with your charm sticking from it, and is like has a hand on it so that like it's not gonna get damaged by whatever heavy lifting Arth is currently doing.
Right. Yeah.
Can assist you.
Thanks for that. She'll follow you silently.
Yeah, Kenny just like really brings you up to Arth, and then we'll say, excuse me, Arth.
Oh, Kitty, Joe, I haven't. How are you?
Right, lovely, actually. I've been getting you little plates Mika's been delivering. That has been you, hasn't it? No one else makes sure I'm, fed.
Yeah. Right. But are you?
It's funny. I was going to ask you the same thing. How have you been?
I think Arth is going to like let down their whatever they're carrying with like a large thunk. I missed you. And I think Arth is actually also gonna like pat Ketty on the head. Missed you too.
Kenny just hugs you. They like don't know what other response to give. They just like wrap you in like a little hug. And they say, "Oh, I was really worried things were bad. Okay, thank you. I missed you too."
I've been working on a new thing. I kind of hit a wall. I can tell you about it. Lily's here.
And
And
I
she
think
would like to
Arth is
see
gonna
the
like
sword.
scoop you both up and just be like, "Tell me all about it."
Oh. Well, as you all begin to saunter over towards Lily and discuss future plans and talking about how to properly work through the hurdle of the EMP, Lily, who has still been smooch facing with Mika for the past several minutes, finally comes up for some air and just, okay, love, I'm sorry. They're here. You gotta see these.
Is this the thing you've been working on?
Oh. And she goes, you're gonna love one of them. Just wait. And it's, as she says that, the scene fades, and we get one last small intermission before we come back. This sea of stars, this void, this quiet, is perhaps antithetical to everything that you are. You are a brilliant ray of light, a bursting explosion of energy against the darkness, and to be in this quiet is perhaps anathema to you. Is it not, Mika?
It's always disconcerting just to be in such a place of such quiet. But that's partially because the reason Mika likes noise and loud and excitement so much is it reminds her how alive she actually is. Because if you're not noticing it, then you're not necessarily alive.
You slacking off over there? A voice,
Always.
gruff and familiar, answers to you. Well,
I believe
come
me.
on. On your
Always.
feet then, soldier.
If I must. Okay.
And you find yourself looking, well, at the old man. A spectral, ghastly image of him. He looks at you and smiles somberly. Hey, kid.
You shouldn't be here.
Yeah. Hate you had to find out this way, huh?
What happened? Was it Rechem?
Thankfully, I walked out of that mess. I'm an old soul, kid. I've been fighting this war with this division for 47 years. You don't get that far without, well, a few lasting injuries. About time one of them caught up. He sees your somber face and just, hey, come on, tuck that chin. No time for that. This is a war, yeah?
Yeah.
You might not be on the
What we
same
got
side
ourselves
you were
into.
beforehand. And he looks around. Yeah, quite the fucking mess you created, huh?
I'm good at that, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Not just for yourself, but for all your friends, too. Gotten them in a real goddamn pickle, haven't you?
Maybe a little.
So?
You had to rescue our commander, and you know, things happened.
Things happened. As in, you betrayed the military you've been serving for the past bits of your adult life, became rogues of the state, committed several murders in the process, and... I miss anything? Oh, right. You joined a rebellion.
Yeah.
Hell of a show. Gotta admit. Ain't
Gotta
done yet,
keep the-
though, is it?
Of course not. Gotta keep keeping on. Because if you don't, what's the point?
There we go. You got your friends into a hell of a mess.
I'll get them out. I'll get them out. Don't worry.
That's my girl. Although, he looks at your hands. Not getting much done with those.
Yeah. But I finally kind of understood what you meant by not strength alone, not will alone.
Oh? Enlighten me.
Well, I think what you mean is just making yourself better isn't gonna change everything. But if you can, you know, get others to join in, that's when change can happen. So it's not...
He pokes you right in the bicep. There it is. All that strength. It's not to swing your weight around, kid. It's not to break everything around you. It's to lift people up. That's what you're good at.
Sorry it took me so long to figure that out.
Yeah, it could happen while I was alive, at least. Jeez.
Can I still go off and break things?
Of course. You got a brother to keep safe, right?
I gotta find him first.
He's in the
I did find my
14th.
girlfriend.
He looks and says, damn right you did. And strong work there. Your brother is in the 14th. He'll be deploying with the force that's invading. If you want to get him out of there, you'll have to move fast. Faster than you've ever moved.
Well, I've been training, right? Get faster, stronger every day.
Embrace a blight trail forward. Can you do that for me, Mika?
Blaze of glory. I'm good at that.
Damn right you are. And he puts his fist against your chest. Now get out there, kid.
Well, good to see you. But I'm gonna go back to my girlfriend.
Damn right. Don't worry. I won't be far. His fist around your chest slowly glows until that warmth above your heart is surrounded, encompassed in this brilliant, glistening light that surrounds and wraps all around you, holding you, emboldening you, pushing you forward, blazing a trail like a bright, brilliant star. Because as that moment fades, you all watch as 5 large vehicles pull into the area in front of you. Tarps are draped over their back caravans, and slowly, soldiers move up and pull them away. The first is a tall, knightly figure of regal purple, dragon's wings encompassing its encloaked figure. Golden, gleaming swords of heat lay in scabbards all around it. A tabard of brilliant royal purple slivers behind it. You've never seen this machine before, Arth, but looking at it, its name screams to you. Galahad. The next, slender, feminine, and fatal. Long, glowing legs leading to strong, sharp claws. Emitters glowing, pulsing blue energy, waiting to unleash deadly lashes of strong energy behind them. A firm figure curls up to almost a hole in the middle lit by that same energy, and around its head, curled horns, a glistening halo of energy surrounding it. Roxanne, you've never seen this machine, but looking at it, its name calls to you. Morgaine. The third, glistening and golden, bright and brilliant, its fists enlightened in bright pink energy, thrusters large and massive enough to propel it straight into the skies, lifting above its curled head, a single horn pointing up. Mika, you have never seen this machine before, but you feel a name scream at you. The Havoc Blaster. The fourth is quadrupedal, bent over and angular like a saurian. It is potent. It is powerful. It is angled and strong. At its back, a generator hums with the energy of a black hole. Its systems and sensors sweep out, and a long tail swishes back and forth. Jocasta, you have never seen this machine before, but two voices, familiar voices, sing a name in the back of your head. Badira. And the last, tall and statuesque, glowing with bright golden energy, holding two canisters that float above it as if powered by anti-gravity. Its head is almost angled and focused, has a large sensor array, which you can tell is designed to plug directly into your brain and transmit your own psychic power directly through it. Eddie, you have never seen this machine, but as you stare at it, a name calls out to you in 1,000 voices. Sangral. You all look, staring at these new tools, these new blades, these new weapons that will carry you to victory. Mika stares at you all with pride and says, Seraph Lance, meet your battle angels. May they carry you forward to victory, to conquest, and home safely to us.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you make these?
I've spent hours analyzing all of your combat records, your personal data, anything that I can find. I tried to make 5 machines, 5 weapons, custom designed for you all.
They're amazing.
They're a little bit better than that. You should get inside and see.
Okay. Wanna come?
Well, first one's on you. But round 2, I'll be right there. Promise.
Okay.
And as you all
Mika races
ascend,
off to rush into her wreck.
as you all ascend the lift wires, rising yourselves into your cockpits, you see a connection port, an almost clasping point at the lower back and upper neck, designed to clearly wrap around your Geist system nodes. You seat yourselves in, clasp your hands around consoles, breathe once, and as you exhale, you see yourselves not where you are, but floating in a sea of stars, where encounters await you that push you forward towards the future. And with that, we draw tonight's episode of Stardust Ghost to a close.
I do. Wait, before we do that, I'm sorry.
No, please.
I'm gonna go over to Lily and say, not bad. not bad at all. Before we head up. And then when I sit inside the thing, I'm gonna remember the story of that I was telling my little brothers, telling the twins of how the moon was an egg, and that was like that was hatched by a dragon, and the dragon's name was Badira.
Mm. Mythical tales to carry 5 angels forward to their former glories, towards their future. See you all in 2 weeks.